Hello and welcome to TE Extra Classes by Things Education, where we share short snippets of our courses. We hope you find these videos useful. Please support us by liking this video and subscribing to our channel.
The third aspect of fine motor development is building wrist strength. So why do you think kids need to build their wrist strength to be able to finally write? What role does the wrist play in writing? Now again, imagine that you have sprained your wrist or broken your wrist. Will you be able to write? Why or why not? Pick up a pencil and maybe just hold your wrist and see what happens if you're trying to write. If you're not able to move your wrist. How is your wrist helping you write well?
More around the movement on the paper where I'm writing.
Right. If I can't move my wrist, it's going to be impossible to write because you're moving your entire hand while writing. Your fingers are more or less stable. You have to still move them, but your wrist is taking a lot of that strain. If you're not able to control the way your wrist moves mainly, your writing is going to be quite untidy. So you have to develop your wrist strength, and we want to actively build in activities in our day that will help kids do this. So again, here are some pictures and you can tell me what these are and what we can do with them. So what's the first picture?
Glass.
Glass with what? What is next to it?
Lid.
Right. It's a jar with a lid. And how would this help a child build wrist strength though?
Closing and opening.
Right. So opening and closing it is if you need to use your wrist for it.
Yes.
You need your fingers
Yes.
also, but you need a lot of wrist strength. Again, you have to imagine it as if your wrist was bound up, you had sprained it. Would you be able to open a glass jar? Quite tough. So building their wrist strength so that finally when they start writing, they're able to use their wrist well is important. What about the second one?
Winding up the toys.
Right. So wind up toys. As you're winding the toy, it's your wrist that's doing most of the work, right? Because you're keeping your fingers stable again, but you're moving your wrist around. So giving them wind up toys to play with also has this advantage of getting them to use their wrist more. And what about the last one? So what is the material? Just that.
It's a rope.
What can we do with rope so that kids start building their wrist strength?
Knitting them in a pattern.
Right. So tying them up in this sort of pattern,
Yeah.
like when kids make friendship bands, but giving them bigger things because they're not going to be able to use thread for sure. They're too tiny. Their hands don't have that kind of flexibility or dexterity. But giving them this thick rope where they have to actually use their entire palm, their wrist, is a good activity to build their wrist strength. So what else? Three more activities that we can do, or three more objects that we can use to build students' wrist strength.
We have all done a lot of pretend play where we scrub our dolls. So when we are scrubbing, or even the floor surface, we say, okay, let's mop the floor. And so there's a lot of wrist movement.
Okay, yeah, that's great. Giving them cloth or sponges and getting them to clean something, pretend to clean something or actually clean something. What else?
So same clay, if they
I'm just
press
trying
it
to see.
on the table or something, there will be
Right.
pressure on the, yeah.
So pressing clay on the table helps. It needs the wrist.
To me, a lot of pulling activities and stringing activities like zipper activities where you have to pull in and out the zipper. So there's a lot of wrist movement in it.
What about like simple activities like ping pong? So getting them to actually play these simple games where they're using small balls to throw or they're using a small racket to hit it. Any sort of these activities will help them build their wrist strength. Now again for playing with zips of bags or something. Yes. So anything that gets them to actually use their wrist is important. For kids, for slightly older kids who may be struggling with handwriting, just giving them these activities and seeing if they're able to do it properly is a good way of just checking where they may be struggling. Because if they're struggling with just their muscle strength and that's why their handwriting is not great, then doing a lot of these activities with them, spending 5, 10, 15 minutes every day, getting them to build their fine motor skills is important. So that's why I was saying earlier that even if your kids are older, even if your students are older, understanding how this progresses will help you pinpoint where they might be struggling and develop that.
Thank you for watching. Please support us by liking the video and subscribing to our channel.